And of course, you're welcome to join us on all our social media handles, on X Spaces, on YouTube, and of course on Facebook. It is Joy News. My name is Elton Bobby. Let's start off for the details now. Now, in the scathing critique, the Attorney General and Minister for Justice, Dr. Dominic Ayine, has accused the Ghana Bar Association of descending into partisan politics and abandoning its core principles. Speaking at the annual GBA conference currently underway in the Upper West Regional Capital, WA, Dr. Ayine expressed disappointment with the association's inconsistent advocacy and perceived bias. Dr. Ayine, who is also the leader of the bar, pointed out that the GBA silence on the removal of the former Electoral Commission Chair Charlotte Osei and the deputies, contrasting it with their vocal stance on the constitutional process that removed the Chief Justice Gertrude Torkornoo.
We risk undermining the very foundation of our professional credibility. We must remember that our allegiance is first and foremost to the Constitution and this Republic, not to transient political interests. Over 3 decades have passed since the adoption of our Constitution. During this period, our Republic has tested and continues to test the resilience of its democratic institutions. In doing this, the bar has played a crucial role in assisting the Supreme Court to interpret and enforce the Constitution. But outside the courtroom, the advocacy of the bar as a professional group has lacked consistency, bringing into question its adherence to principle. Ladies and gentlemen, when in 2015, an Article 146 petition was received by the Chief Justice in relation to the former chairperson of the Commission on Human Rights and Administrative Justice, Madame Loretta Lamte, the bar failed to speak out about process. In the run-up to the 2016 elections, the then opposition New Patriotic Party engaged the Electoral Commission in court battles over the voter identification system. This gave rise to the Abu Ramadan line of cases. Immediately upon assuming office in 2017, an Article 146 petition was filed for the removal of the chairperson of the Electoral Commission, Mrs. Charlotte Osei, and her deputies from office. The bar saw no basis to speak out about compliance with due process. But in recent times, the bar found its voice when petitions based upon the same constitutionally defined procedures were brought in respect of the removal from office of the former Chief Justice, Mrs. Gertrude Torkornoo. Ladies and gentlemen, the honest question we have to ask ourselves is, what changed? The 3 petitions aforementioned touch and concern officeholders of 3 constitutional bodies critical to the sustenance of our democracy. The independence of the 3 institutions has been guaranteed by the Constitution. The 3 occupants were all women of significant repute and members of our noble profession. The 3 committees established pursuant to Article 146 complied with the constitutional procedure to the letter. And yet, the bar found its voice only in relation to the 3rd petition. Coincidentally, the voice of the bar amplified the voice of the opposition. The lawyer in politics must be a voice of reason, moderation, and constitutionalism. The bar must speak out not to please governments or opposition parties, but to defend the rule of law, the independence of the judiciary, and the rights of the ordinary citizen. The Ghana Bar Association is not merely a professional body. It is a moral compass of the legal fraternity and a key pillar in the construction of our constitutional democracy. As Lord Denning once wrote, and I quote, "Justice must be rooted in confidence, and confidence is destroyed when right-minded people go away thinking that the judge was biased." The same applies to the bar. Our authority as a profession depends on public confidence that we stand above the fray of narrow partisanship. Let us therefore be the conscience of the Republic, fearless when governments overreach, impartial when opposition agitates, and always faithful to the sovereignty of the people under the Constitution. And talking of sovereignty, we should desist from the temptation of inviting foreign interference in our internal constitutional processes. As a professional body, there is absolutely nothing wrong with forming relationships with like-minded foreign associations. Such relationships are necessary for cross-fertilization of ideas on professional matters such as standards. That is where it should end. Interference in constitutional politics risks violating the principle that sovereignty resides in the people of Ghana, in whose name and for whose benefit the powers of government are to be exercised. My distinguished colleagues, the task before us is clear. We must renew the spirit of the profession. We must strengthen ethical discipline within our ranks. A few errant lawyers can tarnish the credibility of the entire bar. The Ghana Bar Association must be vigilant in holding us to the highest standards of integrity. We must deepen access to justice. Legal aid must not be a token gesture. It must be a living reality for the poor. The state is committed to resourcing the Legal Aid Commission, but the bar must also embrace pro bono culture as part of its civic duty. We must modernize our justice system. E-filing, case management reforms, and digital court process, records are not luxuries. They are necessities if we have to build a judiciary fit for the 21st century. We must reclaim our role as guardians of democracy. The voices of lawyers must not fall silent when constitutionalism is under threat, whether from the executive, the legislature, from political parties, or even from within us. Madam President, my lords, and learned friends, the quasi-constitutional nature of the bar places it squarely in the center of our state bureaucracy, and by extension, our politics. This deprives the bar of the requisite independence to be truly professional. This constitutional grant of privilege, or if you wish, of right, flies directly in the face of the equality of treatment that ought to be accorded to all professional bodies in the country, in terms of Article 17 of the Constitution. Of course, the Constitution was written by and for lawyers. However, and excuse my language, this self-serving ingratiation of the bar into the bureaucratic structures of the state flouts the principle of equality. So, Madam President, I'm inviting you today for us to re-examine critically this model of the relationship between the bar and the state that puts it at the center of bureaucratic politics as well as the politics of the country. The destiny of Ghana is tied to the integrity of a legal profession. If we stand firm, this republic will stand firm. If we falter, this republic will stumble. Let us therefore recommit ourselves to the ideals of our forebears: justice, integrity, freedom, and service. And let the bar of Ghana remain, as it has always been, the living conscience of the nation.
Right, so that's the Attorney General and Minister for Justice, Dr. Dominic Ayine. Mincing no words in taking on the Ghana Bar Association. He also alleged that the GBA's voice often echoes that of the opposition, suggesting a political tilt rather than a neutral professional stance. Dr. Ayine described the current GBA as, quote, self-serving, unquote, now implying the organization prioritizes its own interests over the broader legal profession and societal needs. But in response, the president of the Ghana Bar Association, Ifagate, raised concerns over the procedure that led to the removal of the former Chief Justice, Gertrude Tokun, describing it as unfair and a threat to the independence of the judiciary. According to her, the process not only lacked transparency, but also undermined the principles of natural justice expected in matters involving the head of the judicial arm of government.
The Constitution of the Ghana Bar Association enjoins us to protect the independence of the judiciary. This is a duty the association does not take lightly, and from time immemorial, the bar has fiercely performed this duty. My learned friends, we are all aware that Article 146 of our 1992 Constitution has come under severe scrutiny in recent times. For the first time under the Fourth Republic, it's been evoked in respect of a Chief Justice. The position of the bar must be stated clearly in this regard. The bar recognizes the fact that the power of removal can be exercised under Article 146, but the bar's major concern relates to the process. In the absence of specific rules of procedure, the sketchy process potentially lends itself to arbitrariness and a lack of fairness. Hence, the bar's resolution on the matter, which was as follows. The Ghana Bar Association hereby also calls for the immediate enactment of clear and comprehensive regulations relating to matters under Article 146 of the Constitution of the Republic of Ghana to ensure transparency, accountability, and fairness in all proceedings involving Superior Court justice, particularly in the context of the impeachment or removal of such officers. This resolution was passed and publicized by 30th April 2025. However, no rules were produced. It is commonly said that justice should not only be done, but manifestly be seen to have been done. The lack of an enactment for such rules, in the case of the removal of the fourth highest person in the nation, should be a matter of concern for all of us. These rules should have been known to all and sundry before the commencement of the process, as it greatly affects the standard to be met. It ends up being an unfortunate precedent which lacks fairness, a situation that calls for redress, if indeed we are custodians of justice. We all deserve justice, from the well-endowed in society to the less endowed, from those who wield political power to those who don't, from those who have economic power and those who don't, from those who dispense justice to those who receive justice.
Right, so you can say this was obviously a direct response to the Attorney General on a matter of the removal of the Chief Justice. Now, what do you make of this? The AG has made his position clear on his perception of the Ghana Bar Association. We also heard the president of the GBA also speak to these matters. You can drop your comments on our social media handles, on the X Spaces, on YouTube, and of course on Facebook. Now let's expand the discussion. Let me bring in the Public Relations Officer of the Ghana Bar Association, Sylvia Kujo, and also former Deputy Attorney General Alfred Chuanyeboa. We'll also be joined by the NDC legal team as well. Justice Kujo, good afternoon and welcome to the Pulse.
My name is Sylvia Kujo.
Sorry, Sylvia. Good afternoon and welcome to the program.
I must apologize for my voice because I have a very bad cold.
It looks like all of us are affected by the cold. Also joining us is a former Deputy Attorney General, Alfred Chuanyeboa. Mr. Chuanyeboa, good afternoon. Always a pleasure to see you here. Great. So first, let me start with you, Sylvia. I mean, you are in the Upper West region, capital, right?
I am here now.
Right. So, I mean, how would you describe how the opening ceremony went?
I would say that it was successful, as has always been the case.
And, I mean, the Attorney General spoke to this matter. But first, let's start from the president of the Bar Association. On the matter of Article 146, he maintains the fact that the removal lacks fairness. And this fairness from her presentation relates to the lack of procedure to guide the entire process. Is that the position of the Ghana Bar Association?
Yeah, that is the position, because that was the exact position that we took when we had our media conference at Labadi Beach Hotel. Mm-hmm. If you listen to the president of the Ghana Bar Association carefully, she acknowledged the fact that the power to remove people under Article 146 is not in doubt.
Right.
The only concern is that there must be regulations guiding the process, the step-by-step procedures to be followed, because as it is now, that has not been done. That is why if reference is made to the removal of former Electoral Commission Chair and former Shraj boss, I think that those examples are not relevant, because suggestions that are being made now are about what has gone on in the past. Because it didn't happen. So going forward, we think that it's not fair to continue in that same way. That is all we're saying. It's not because a particular individual was involved, not at all. It's about the office of those people. Because it could be you, it could be me, provided we qualify to occupy those positions.
But the claim is that you took a position when the former Chief Justice was going through the process and the subsequent action that was taken. And the AG says that your voice was lost when similar procedure went on in a matter relating to the former chairperson of the Electoral Commission and, of course, the former head of Shraj. In all these two instances, according to him, the Ghana Bar Association was still silent, but found its voice when Gertrude Tokonum went through similar arrangement under Article 146.
I think I've explained that already. I don't think that anybody can fault that Bar Association for taking a position going forward. What is wrong to start something at a stage? Is there anything wrong that because I didn't do something yesterday, I cannot do it now? Provided I think that going forward as a group or as a society, that is what I think is fair to everybody. I don't think there's anything wrong. So the events that happened in the past, and the of the immediate party Chief Justice, have already taken place. Then must we leave the law the way it is? It mustn't be so, because we are being reactive at the same time proactive. Because that office will not remain vacant. It will be occupied by somebody by all means. Are we expecting it to continue? That's what we're saying. That look, the law is made it clear, the power has been given, and how do we apply the power?
Let me bring in the former Deputy AG. I'll come back to ask you about the way forward. Now that you say that procedure is key in matters of this nature. Mr. Afetuanya, you listen to the Attorney General, and of course you also listen to the President of the Ghana Bar Association on the matter of consistency and when the GBA chose to be silent and when it chose to speak. What is your reading of how the two members communicated their feelings on this particular platform?
I'm also in WA, and so
right.
In the conference venue, when the AG delivered the speech, as well as the president of the bar, I must first and foremost point it out that the Attorney General is the leader of the bar, as we put it all the time. And so if you want to see the first gentleman leading the bar is the Attorney General. And so the pronouncement of the Attorney General that the bar some time ago lost its voice and it's now seeking to criticize the bar. The only implication that the Attorney General was criticizing himself. Because if you are a leader of a group and you choose not to correct what you think were wrong yesterday and you want to criticize people in public, I mean, you also, but that's another fact. Now, at the Ghana Bar Association, the GBA, after when they deemed nobody to issue statements on issues or matters affecting the nation. But let me take you back. In 2014, 2015, thereabouts, I'm not very sure about it yet. The head of DRAD was removed during the NDC era under President Mahama. At that time, did the bar issue any statement? No. Under President Akufo-Addo, the 3 EC chairpersons were also removed. And now the contention of the AG is that the bar lost its voice. So meaning in 2014, during their reign, the bar did not issue statement because the bar did not need necessary at the time to issue. 2017, 2018, no statement was issued. As the GBA PRO said, the fact that something was done yesterday and you think wasn't proper should not mean that it should be repeated. I expected the Attorney General to have commended the Bar Association for standing up for the judiciary. Worldwide and under Commonwealth, you realize that it is the Bar Association that speaks for the judiciary because they are not able to speak when they are under attack. And the comparison that he drew, the EC and then the Chief Justice.
Right.
With all due respect, the Chief Justice is the head of an arm of government. That one should not be lost on us. The Electoral Commission is an independent constitutional body, but technically speaking, serves under the executive. And so you cannot be using the two scenarios to say because they don't criticize yesterday, today they cannot criticize. In any event, the AG sought to create the impression that the GBA criticizes only NDC government and not NPP administration.
Right.
But I can give this example. If the Attorney General attended the 2019 Ghana Bar Association conference in Takoradi, you realize that the president of the bank, Mr. Anthony Forson, then criticized the government, and the president was even there. Fast forward, in Cape Coast, when Yabuaf was the president, he criticized the government. The president was there. Last year in Kumasi, the bar president took the NPP government on. And so the Attorney General must also realize that it is not about NDC government or NPP government. If issues are brought up for discussion, that thinking that people are so political, so we should not even listen to because they belong to party A or party B is something that the learned age, with all due respect, must get over it. We are building a country. We have institutions that are non-partisan. Let those institutions make their comments as and when necessary. You may disagree with them, which I think you may think that maybe the GBA issue a statement criticizing maybe the procedure. You may say as a procedure you think A, B, C, D. That would be fair. But criticizing the GBA for coming out is something that I think a leader of the bar in the person of AG should not be spearheading.
So the AG, the bar president, also make reference to the unfairness in the removal process of the former Chief Justice. This procedure that the GBA requested, which according to her was never provided, and then the 5-member committee came to a determination. They made their recommendation. The president acted upon it. Mr. Twanyebwa, is it very necessary that we have such procedure in place to avoid what may be described as unfairness in the future?
We need to have such a procedure in place. And that's why the GBA at the media conference came out with that resolution. That resolution still stands. I heard the AG some time ago that the government or the AG was also in the process of putting before Parliament a CI to regulate the process.
Right.
Such a step is commendable. I need to make sure that we have the rules of procedure when it comes to the removal of a superior court judge or the Chief Justice.
Mr. Xavier, how independent is the GBA in terms of, responding to national matters, regardless of which political party is in power? Because if you listen carefully to the AG, the impression is being created that the GBA only finds its voice when the NDC is in power, and always appears to be silent when the MPP is in power. And as you speak to me, and as I address those who are watching us this afternoon, I ask again, how independent is the body in terms of dealing with national matters, regardless of the party in power?
I am not surprised
about this question, but I'm disappointed because it's been overflowed. But I want the GBA has always been independent, irrespective of whichever party is ruling this country in government. My learned senior and former Deputy Attorney General has given you instances, but I can give you instances when I became PR. If you remember, President John Mahama, doing an address of NDC Lawyers Association, alleged that President Kufuor was packing the courts or appointing MPP aligned judges. We condemned him. When the President Kufuor came to Cape Coast, after condemning President Mahama on that statement, which we agreed with, he went ahead to say that because of that, they shouldn't vote for him, and said so many other things. We saw that as political campaigning, and we came out to condemn. What else do you expect of an independent association to do? Mind you, this is an association of professionals.
Right.
But that does not mean that because they are professional, they may not belong to any other associations, such as political parties. That is granted. But in all this, we should always keep in view that the association is for all of us. So this thing about this party is in power, GBA hasn't done this, this one was not in power, GBA has done this. I think we should move past that and think about very serious issues that concern this country. Sanitation, Galamsey. So to conclude, we are very objective and independent as an association of professional lawyers.
And would you also respond to the issue of foreign interference in matters, that borders on the sovereignty of the country? The AG also had issues with this particular angle, especially when the Commonwealth Lawyers statement that sought to condemn the government, steps that were in motion that led to the removal of the former Chief Justice.
I think it was unfortunate that the Attorney General saw that as an interference, because he himself today acknowledged that it is the right thing to have a relationship with those foreign associations. So if they have expressed their view on a happening in a Commonwealth country, of which Ghana is a member, a country of a Commonwealth association, of which Ghana is a member, I don't see anything wrong with it. Don't forget, Ghana Bar Association has a link or is a member of the Commonwealth Lawyers Association. So if something is happening in our home country and a larger body to which we belong issues a statement, I don't think that we should describe it in all sincerity as interference, but rather we should see it as their concern, no matter how we think or we feel. That's the fairest thing I think we should be doing.
All right.
Assuming Nigeria has a problem and we issue a statement today, then Nigeria is telling us that, look, we know you are our brothers, but you are interfering. Do you think that is fair? You can listen to advice, but as to whether you should take it or not is another matter.
All right. Finally, before I let you so that I can conclude with Mr. Alfred Chuanyebua, the president's statement also touched on a very important national matter, the issue of illegal mining or Galamsey, and that's another subject I'll be moving on very soon. Beyond making the call for government efforts to end it, what more is the GBA seeking to do in this particular very important area of our life?
I think that, to be blunt, we are just a bunch of indisciplined people. Why can't we manage resources that God has given us free of charge? We keep borrowing. Must we mine all the minerals today? What is wrong? What is difficult about repealing an airline that permits people to mine in the forest reserve? Don't we appreciate and understand the concept of forest reserve? So I think that there's lack of political will. I am convinced that no government can fight this battle unless the citizenry rise up to protect the environment of this country. That is my conviction as a person. Because since 2015 that I have been on the executive committee of the Ghana Bar Association under the presidency of President Benson Chukwi, we have raised these matters, we have issued statements, even during Yaboafo's tenure, which was for the last 3 years. Right. Every year, this was said. What else do we need? We have the military, the security agencies under the president. What is difficult about it? I think that we should be serious about it. We should be disciplined enough. We are not thinking about the future. And I urge the youth to be involved in this matter because it's about us. It's not about the old people who are governing us.
Right. Xavier Kuji is the Public Relations Officer with the Ghana Bar Association. Thank you so much. Let me end this conversation with the former Deputy Attorney General, Mr. Chwanyabwa. So what do we expect of the leadership of the GBA? Now that they find themselves in an era where every step they take will be viewed with some sort of suspicion, especially from government.
Now, before I even answer this, the issue about interference,
right,
or the issue of sovereignty, I'm surprised that the learned AG raised this particular issue, because I know that the AG knows that the GBA is an association that has international partners, as the PRO just said. But aside that, look at the situation where Ghana is a part of a community of nations, for example, the UN, ECOWAS, and an issue comes up that Ghana issues a statement. Does it make a serious affairs, political affairs? No language. Israel attacked. What do we do? The foreign ministry issued a statement condemning his agency that now have paid their account. The government of Ghana got a statement, so the AG would always shot himself in the foot because more or the association, Common Lawyers Association, they have the right to issue a statement on an issue pertaining in any Commonwealth country. As to whether you may take it or not take it, that's another matter. They cannot force you. But the matter of the issue statement is something so common, so normal, so I was surprised when the AG went on that tangent. Now, with respect to going forward, the GBA is an association of lawyers. The GBA has stood the test of time. The GBA has stood the test of military tyranny and rule in Ghana. The GBA should continue to stand as a united force, even if people deem their actions as being political. It is only those who cannot take criticism who may want to take the GBA to the cleanest. I expect the president and executives of the GBA to remain focused and deliver their mandate as executives and lead the GBA to where it ought to be. Politicians, they want to pass their comments. They should leave the politicians and then focus on the well-being of Ghanaians. If we were to leave the space to the ruling class, a lot of things will happen and everyone will be quiet. Ghana is not a state that's prepared to let people do things without comments. The GBA should continue with the comments after when they deem necessary. As I said, do not at time they came at us with their statements, with their comments. They must keep the fire. We were so tolerant. We accepted the criticism. This government also must be prepared to accept any statement from the GBA.
All right, Mr. Alfred Chwanyabwa is a former Deputy Attorney General, and earlier on we heard the Public Relations Officer of the Ghana Bar Association, Xavier Kuji. Of course, we'll be talking about the Ghana Bar Association ongoing annual conference in the Upper West Regional Capital, WA, and some comments came from the Attorney General and the GBA President. What do you make of this? Your comments are welcome, and I'll share with them as and when we have them. But related to this is a matter of public interest. Now, the coalition against Galamsey, or illegal mining in Ghana, they've intensified pressure on President Mahama, urging him to immediately declare a state of emergency in areas devastated by illegal mining. The group says the president's recent remarks on the matter fell short of the agency required, describing his response as deeply disappointing in the face of an escalating national crisis. Now, convener of the group, Ken Ashibe, said the destruction of rivers, forests, and farmlands by illegal mining has crossed the threshold of what the Constitution defines as an emergency.
We are beyond the last resort. And His Excellency, Mr. President, please, you should immediately declare a state of emergency. And again, we are very clear about it, in parts of the country. Not in all of the country, not in the entire district, but in parts of the country that are required to save Ghanaians as prescribed by the Constitution. A Constitution you have agreed to uphold. The President must provide the nation with milestones and timelines to serve as a guide for continued action and demonstration of the government's commitment. Just to tell us that the committee has been formed, it's not adequate. We need a lot of transparency. We need a lot of details so that, as the Constitution says, sovereignty resides with the people. We then, again, as the Constitution says, you, the media, are supposed to hold the government to the account of the people. You can take these milestones and timelines to be able to support government itself, ensure that these milestones that are given are kept. The president, in operationalizing the KPIs he has given to all MCEs and DCEs in Galamsey endemic areas, should dismiss any MCE or DCE who has Galamsey still happening in their district or in the municipality for incompetence. They should be investigated for complicity in these environmental crimes. The same should apply to the police and the National Investigative Bureau commanders in this district and municipalities. If they are still in there representing the president and Galamsey is still happening and we've not heard them screaming out loud for support, then they are either incompetent or complicit or both.
Now, whilst welcoming the establishment of the Natural Resources and Environmental Security Agency, the coalition warned that without adequate funding and logistics, the initiative will become another mirage.
We are beyond the last resort. And His Excellency, Mr. President, please, you should immediately declare a state of emergency. And again, we are very clear about it. In parts of the country, not in all of the country, not in the entire district, but in parts of the country that are required to save Ghanaians as prescribed by the Constitution. A Constitution. The establishment of NIMOS is a positive step, but the president must urgently provide it with adequate resources to address environmental destruction caused by mining, especially given the national profits from gold sales by the Gold Board. So we have two proposals for funding NIMOS. One, allocate a portion of Gold Board proceeds directly to NIMOS as a show of commitment and as for support for them to be able to do their work. And two, auction all confiscated excavators at 1/3 of their value. Use the funds to support joint enforcement of the Forestry Commission and local police. And this is what a state of emergency could give you. Because at 995, before you can auction, you would have to go to court, prosecute the case when you finish, before forfeiture can happen. But under a state of emergency in particular areas, we could then have the situation where all of these, under the state of emergency, could be dealt with. After all, in the UK, when they had the issues of the riots happening, they were able to set up courts. When you are arrested, within 24 hours, you are taken to court, prosecuted, and jailed. So under a state of emergency, we can do the same. I'm not sure, as we are more liberal a democracy than the UK.
Well, meanwhile, government is stepping up its fight against illegal mining with a new strategy, the establishment of a permanent military bases within forest reserves along major river bodies across the country. Government data shows that 44 forest reserves are currently classified as endangered, with 9 declared no zone at all. Now, speaking on the Super Morning Show early on today, Government Communications Minister Felix Kwachofo said the move is aimed at securing reclaimed sites and preventing illegal miners from returning once operations are completed.
To all these measures to curb Galamsey, there's also the Responsible Community Mining Project, which essentially hands over some disused mines by lawful mining companies to the youth so that they can engage in responsible mining that is monitored, that does not affect the environment, and be able to make money decently as opposed to going into this dangerous work of Galamsey. So I think that we all need to establish, we need to be clear that even as we take steps to fight it, those who are engaged in it still find reason to go back. And sometime ago I said that the Galamsey fight has to be an eternal fight. It was taken out of context to mean that we will never win it. But we have to maintain eternal vigilance. That is why, as part of the efforts going forward, all those places that are being reclaimed, the soldiers and the security forces won't leave. They will set up permanent camps to ensure that people don't come. At least the 44 forest reserves that were endangered, and all the riverine areas of Ghana will have permanent security presence to ensure that people do not come back. And that will be rolled out in the coming days.
And government appears to be fighting this particular menace from all fronts. Now, the Foreign Affairs Minister, Samuel Okudzeto Ablaka, has also outlined his ministry's role in the fight against Galamsey, addressing the issue of foreign nationals involved in illegal mining. He announced a new directive at Ghana's embassy in Beijing, China. He says group passport processing has now been scrapped. Now, every applicant must show up in person and undergo the procedure individually.
Official China government policy to come and destroy our environment, and they have made clear anytime we have engaged with officials in Beijing, they have been supporting us to get rid of their nationals who come in, and as you do know, we have been cracking down, arresting them, prosecuting them, and we will continue with the arrests and prosecutions. I can confirm to you that as part of my recent visit to China, I went to the state where they are notorious for sending their nationals here to engage in Galamsey. I met with the governor, the city authorities, and Director Asia is here. He can confirm that in that meeting, I did not mince words at all. I really stated President Mahama's position that this cannot continue. We welcome good investors to come partner with us and transform our economy. But we will not accept you sending your nationals here to engage in Galamsey. And we made that very clear to the city authorities. What we have also done subsequently following that meeting is that we have a new policy now at our embassy in Beijing and our consulate in Guangzhou, where we no longer process group visa applications. That's the new policy. Everybody must show up for an interview, and no matter if you claim you are coming for a conference, an excursion, whatever, you must all produce yourselves individually and apply individually.
Adopted by government to fight the menace of illegal mining, but are these efforts enough to deal with what we are saddled with as a country? Now, joining me, Awula Sewa is coordinator, Eco-Conscious Citizens. In the studio, however, though, I'm privileged to have Professor Michael Ayamba, Deputy CEO of the Environmental Protection Authority, right? Prof, you're welcome, and it's good to see you.
It's a pleasure.
Let me take a quick bite from Awula Sewa. So, Awula, you heard President Mahama last week. State of emergency should be the last resort. Government is taking steps to repeal LI 2462. The foreign minister says that now they will not be granting visas to groups. Everyone coming from China must appear in person and justify why the person is seeking to go to Ghana. What do you make of these?
Afternoon. Thank you very much for having me. Good afternoon to you and your listeners. I mean, this is all well and good, but the reality is that as we sit here right now, we are facing a national catastrophe. We are facing a national catastrophe. So we need to act now. We need to ensure that we put an end to the catastrophe. And if we don't do that, we'll all be destroyed. So those are the fundamental things we need to do. And as you are aware, there was a press conference today where some of the steps were detailed. I know the president doesn't think he says he's reluctant to declare a state of emergency. But we are saying that unless this is done, or unless the steps that he says that he has not yet taken, the measures at his disposal are used immediately, we will lose the window of opportunity to rescue this country from the catastrophe we face. I mean, if you look at the images, I don't see any Chinese nationals here. I can see Africans here destroying their own environment. So we need to deal with what's on the ground and get rid of the environmental criminals and their equipment.
The cost to this now is evident to everybody. Ghana Water Company is seeking tariff adjustment. The reason primarily is because they are spending so much money to treat the water. And in fact, some of their water processing plants are already out of service because illegal miners have virtually taken over these places. So government is aware of the implications, the financial costs, the environmental costs, and every cost that must be discussed. Government is fully aware of this. Do you see the commitment to really get to the bottom of this? Or is just being reduced to attempts and, intentions?
You see, if we are fully aware of this, we have the health costs. Kidney disease has gone up fourfold. People are getting cancer. They are deformed babies. The health cost is tremendous. For me, the health cost is even worse than the cost of our tariffs going up. But again, the good thing is that Ghanaians are now waking up because it's affecting us directly. It's affecting our pockets. We don't seem to realize that our health is even more important. So what is astonishing is why the president is so reluctant to declare a targeted state of emergency. So he can take all the measures available and get rid of this canker, because the window of opportunity, as I keep on saying, is closing. We have national security problems with some of these armed persons. We don't want to descend into parts of Latin America. We have health concerns. We have peasant farmers, more than 2.5 million of them losing their livelihoods. Even our cocoa isn't safe. We have economic problems. Why are we so hesitant to declare a targeted state of emergency when in opposition we're asking the past government to declare one? And even the LI 2462 you mentioned, we're in September. It was a low-hanging fruit. Why has it taken us so long to acknowledge that this is one of the steps in the right direction?
So this
we are sort of frustrated at what is going on.
And then finally, this targeted that you speak of, so this will be restricted to the mining areas?
It will be restricted to the hotspots,
right.
The forest reserves where the illegal miners are, or the criminal, the environmental criminals. It will be restricted to the water bodies. Most of our water bodies are polluted. We are told that over 60% of our water bodies are polluted. Water is life. I don't think we want 100% of our water bodies to be polluted before we decide to act. Let me say this, the water company is spending more and more to purify the water. But what they are using to purify it, what are the health aspects? We need the medical profession to come up and tell us what damage is it doing to our health. Yes, the water is now looking clear, but how safe is it? The fact that it's clear does not make it safe.
Right. Awula, thank you so much for this intervention here on the program. Let me now bring in Professor Michael Ayamba from the EPA, Deputy CEO. Prof, you're welcome again. You've heard so much commentary around the issue of illegal mining. And I know that at the start of the year, your CEO undertook some site visits to some river bodies and then made some commitments. First, let's start off from the river bodies. What state are they in now, as we speak, from what you witnessed at the start of the year?
Of course, it depends on where you want to look at the situation. The Galamsey issue is evolving, is elusive, and it's a cat and mouse game. And to the extent that if you clean two, they add another one. So consistently, we take steps forward, and the problem evolves into another issue. So nobody is under the illusion that this is a fight that you can just go in with guns
and win,
declare state of emergency, and then it's done and dusted. So yes, we wish our river bodies could have been better. We wish that by now we would have clean waters, given the efforts we are putting in. But increasingly, the issue keeps evolving, and it's bigger than many of us are seeing. You see an increasing number of young people increasingly engaging in illegal mining that has a historical connection, that over the years many people couldn't find jobs. You have people with degrees and so on can't get a job to do, so they all found their way into illegal mining. And it's easier said than done that declare state of emergency, go there with guns and shoot it. 2-3 years ago, we would have said, okay, it's Chinese financing illegal mining, and then you had businessmen and politicians going in. Now what we are increasingly seeing is community involvement in illegal mining. Every day in my office, I get people coming to report to me, come to our community. Then the end game is, can you talk to them so that they also allow us to do some of the mining. So if we take in guns here, we are going to have a bloodbath. That is one thing I can tell you for sure. It's easy for you to sit somewhere and say, impose a state of emergency, send in the military and let them do the job. But I can tell you, everybody calling for the state of emergency.
They don't know what they are calling for.
They don't know what they are calling for because the cost of human life there is going to be enormous that we may not even, in the end Galamsey, we may end up having a conflict growing out of it. I can tell you that when you go and see people doing illegal mining, they are not people who are afraid of guns, who are afraid of military.
But now they are saying that let's target it. Let's look at the most endemic areas and then concentrate the state of emergency there.
You see, we have tested a number of issues. One of the things we have seen is that there's an increasing appetite for a certain degree of inclusive mining. Many of these communities want to see a situation where if there are gold reserves in their area, there is some arrangement that allows them to share these resources with whoever is investing in there. We see that as an opportunity to find a lasting solution to illegal mining rather than just thinking that we can stop it. I also take exceptions to the selective activism that we are seeing of late. I welcome criticism. I welcome the fact that everybody wants to put the spotlight on Galamsey. But to the extent that we are not pausing a moment to think of the implications of the proposals we are putting forward is what is making it difficult for us to take the right step forward. It's not a state of emergency, as I've rightly indicated. We have seen how those places are. They see death. They are not afraid of death. I'm sure your media house here, you have evidence of miners confronting military, heavily armed military.
Yes, in fact, we reported on so many of these.
We reported all those. So if you see somewhere and say impose emergency, send in the guns, you are telling us that go and kill everybody. And I don't think that will even be a solution.
So, Prof, as we speak, will you say that the situation is getting dynamic by the day?
I'm saying it's fluid. That is one thing. It is not something that, you know, okay, let me say it's a moving target. That increasingly you solve one problem, another dimension of it occurs. And one of the things I've seen is that we all know that our water bodies are the most fragile points that we want to target on. And if you listen to the Honorable Felix Ofosu-Kwakye, if you dovetail that one into what the Honorable Kujoto have said, you've seen that all these things are concerted efforts to see whether can we make incremental achievements towards solving this problem. Can we start with our water bodies? Can we ensure that places that are reclaimed don't eventually revert? Then we can have another step looking at how to eventually stop illegal mining. That will take the creation of opportunities, investment. That will take our ability to train these people to engage in sustainable mining and eventually save our forests. It is easier said than done. That's what I can say here.
Right. So, Prof, EPA, what role exactly are you playing in this particular national challenge?
Of course, our mandate is to preserve the environment and to improve it. Of course, apart from being the custodians of the laws in terms of what environmental protection is about, we also are part of the whole legalization of the mining as far as gold is concerned. And our role here is, of course, first, we want to provide the education. We want, if possible, provide the opportunities for people to come up with strategies to mine rightly. And then where we have to train, we can team up with government to train. So we are pursuing that mandate effectively. We also at least participate in licensing of mining. So we think that where we come in strongly is, of course, to help in legalizing where it is possible and to train where it is also possible and to educate where we think the framework has been put in place and the groundwork has been done. People are willing to take on this expertise. So we want to play that role and we are doing that.
And with your consultations and site visits, what do you think is an avenue that the government can exploit to sort of start a process of, winning this fight?
I think one of the things the government is doing is to actually target the resources that go into illegal mining. And over the past weeks or so, you've seen how we are actually rolling out a strategy to stem the flow of excavators into the mining community. I can tell you for now that it is more difficult now to bring an excavator into Ghana.
But we hear 200 every day.
Yeah,
coming into the country.
They come into the country, but it's very difficult
to clear them from the
port, and it's very difficult to even operationalize them and move them. Yeah, as I said, I've seen that selective activism, and I don't know whether it is out of malice or is there are genuine mistakes where people try to misinform. The issue of, let's say, people moving excavators from the ports and putting them in the custody of the military, misinterpreted as clearing excavators in the night. And you see, these things don't help the fight against Galamsey. One thing I can tell you for sure is that it's very difficult to import and clear an excavator in Ghana now than at any point in our history. And that effort alone will eventually restrict access to the equipment needed to destroy the environment.
And this is basically for those who are bringing in excavators to destroy the environment, because other people bring excavators for very well-defined, jobs. And for such individuals, obviously they'll be caught in this web. They will therefore need to justify why the excavator is coming in. Big mining companies who go to regulations, and you can follow through with the work they are doing to ensure that they are not destroying the environment. They need excavators to work. Contractors need excavators to work. My friend Koyo Boatem, who is a farmer, needs an excavator to work on his farms. So what happens with these category of individuals?
If we are able to cut off the flow of excavators for illegal mining, then we know excavators that are in the country are supposed to be doing construction work and others. Now, if we find your excavator in illegal mining, then we have to sanction you heavily. And those who are actually engaged in illegal activities will not want to be caught in that web. And so I think it is one step in the right direction. What people also want easily discount is the efforts of the gold board to also restrict the export of gold. If we can target the movement of the gold, we can target where the money comes from and where eventually the money passes through to go back into illegal mining. So from that angle too, we are increasingly trying to tighten the nose and make it very difficult for people to export gold. I believe that in the not too distant future, we should be able to if not all, be able to separate a significant proportion of gold derived from illegal sources and gold derived from legal mining. And this will help in a long way in trying to stop the issue and then maybe trying to prevent money from getting back to the hands that invested them in mining in the first place. So that is where I think that we are making very significant progress. And
I'm guessing from your analysis, the conclusion is that many of the excavators that are coming in, most of them, until this new restrictions, most of them ended up in the mining sector. You see, let's be fair here that sometimes people just buy excavators and they rent them. Right. I have an excavator, you come and say you want an excavator, I give it to you. Sometimes they don't even ask what you are doing. All they want is at the end of the day, you are bringing in their hire. So we're now trying to also make people who own excavators know that if we find your excavator involved in illegal mining, not only is it going to be confiscated, you are also going to be punished and prosecuted. And that will go in a long way to reduce at least access to excavators, which is the major problem. If it is the whole cutlass and pickaxe, that can do this kind of damage that we are seeing here. But it's the excavators and then the machinery that causes the damage. And if you target the machines, target the money, and target the people, which is being done, I believe that eventually we'll make that quantum leap. And but Prof, can this fight ever be won? And what will it take? It can be won in the sense that if we see victory as we being able to significantly stop illegal mining,
yes, from time to time you have pockets of it emerging. There are places you go to sleep, the next day there's a lot of damage. But we should be able to develop that responsiveness to move in quickly into a new emerging sites and then bring situations under control and then prevent the destruction of more forests and more water bodies. I think that is where the fight against Galamsey will eventually end, that we will have built the ability to respond more quickly, to preempt the movements of these activities and stop them. For now, it's you move here, stop them, and they move into another place. And we don't have a complete control over it yet, but the systems that are being put in place will eventually allow us to follow it. But I will say here again, not because I just want to follow what the president has said, but I have moved and seen some of these things, seen some of these people, and a state of emergency. No.
It's not required at this very moment.
Not any day. I believe we could have deployed it in the early days, but where it has reached is now community competition. It's like people are waiting that the Galamsey will get to their community and they will also make some money, make some, be able to put up some infrastructure and other things. People eagerly look up to it, and that is how dangerous it is. I agree that yes, we are. It's a time bomb, and if we do not get ahead of it, we will face a dire situation in the future. But I believe that what is also being done is leading to some results, and let's be optimistic that we'll win this fight.
Finally, the agency issued a statement about certain actions will be taken in the coming day. If you can briefly educate on it before I let you go.
Of course, what we want to do, as I've said, is that we have always been in favor of educating, we have always been in favor of sensitizing, and we have always been in favor of legalizing where it is possible. Of course, I did mention the issue of we going back into the communities there and trying to help people come to us to get more knowledge about how to do this. Over the last week, you heard of we also having some help from Australia in terms of how to do these things rightly. Those are the issues that we want to focus on. We are working with other agencies like the Forestry Commission and the rest, in terms of trying to ensure that we save the forest, prevent the destruction of new areas, and where there is also some damage, we intensify our effort to reclaim. That is the way we want to go, and these are some of the measures that we want to take.
Right. Prof. Ayamba, thank you so much for coming through. Professor Michael Ayamba is Deputy CEO of the Environmental Protection Agency. And of course, we all are into this particular fight to bring an end to illegal mining. We'll take a short break here on the program. When we return, Rocky Dawuni will be speaking to me. Plus, we'll get to understand why a Chinese national is on the run and is being accused of starting the fire that destroyed a warehouse at Latabia Coast. The Ghana National Fire Service, they've got some answers for us. You're welcome back. Of course, this is The Pulse here on Joy News, and thanks for staying with us. And later, we'll find out from the Ghana National Fire Service. They are on the heels of a Chinese national responsible for starting the fire that destroyed an entire factory at Latabia Coast. We'll get some answers for you pretty soon. But let's have a conversation with the Director of Marketing of Anomansa Beach Resort at Elmina, Dr. Ashley Milton. Doctor, you're welcome. Thank you. And of course, they've got some special offer for you. Rocky Dawuni is also built to perform at the grand opening of the beach resort. Rocky, you're welcome.
Thank you.
And it's always good to see you.
Yes, good to see you too.
All right. So, Doc, so this is a grand opening, right?
It's the grand opening.
I mean, I'm curious to know more about it.
Okay, so Anomansa Beach Resort is the old Elmina Bay Resort.
I like the name Anomansa.
Yes, we are
Is there a reason behind the name?
Yes.
What is it?
The original name of Elmina is Anomansa.
Okay.
So we decided to reclaim that name when we decided to renovate this old hotel and produce what we now have as a 4-star luxury resort in the South region.
And I'm guessing it's by the beach.
It is definitely beachfront. You have direct beach access to a beautiful, pristine beach that we'll be talking about.
So what is in there for me, for example?
In the resort.
Right.
So we have 36 rooms. We have 3 restaurants on site, formal dining. We have a beachside open air bar, and then we have our breakfast area that's a bar. On site, you can also do activities. We have access to Benya Lagoon, so you'll be able to do stand-up paddleboarding, kayaking. You have your direct beach access. We also have a beautiful pool, and we are looking forward to welcoming our guests this weekend. We'll also be having our concert.
So the grand opening is coinciding with the concert.
It is.
And Rocky Dawini is headlining it.
Exactly.
Why Rocky?
Well, Rocky is a 4-time Grammy-nominated artist. We have had a relationship over the past few years of running into each other at various events. And we were really excited to have him grand open our hotel because of what he's done, not just as it relates to tourism in Ghana, but also music on an international stage. And we wanted to bring him back to the Central region for our grand opening.
So Rocky, how ready are you? let me issue this disclaimer.
Yes.
Because I obviously, I love your music.
Yes.
I can tell you 2 of my favorites.
Yes.
Crusade and Jerusalem.
Hey, Charlie, you are deep.
Jerusalem, I like the rhythm.
Yes.
And the story behind it.
Yes.
So, for somebody like me who is really into your music,
yes.
What more should I expect from you on this grand opening?
I think the most important thing is that for me, it represents my vision and mission to kind of bring a connection between our cultural resources, our tourism, and then also the creative arts. Like we're all kind of interconnected in one ecosystem. And if we want to make Ghana a destination, we have to start doing these partnerships and start really using that as a means to draw people to, let's say the Central region. We have Elmina Castle. We have Anumansa Resort that is opening over there. So the opportunity for me to do a concert there will also allow me to bring my music and also my mission to come and be part of advancing this whole thing. And I think that this partnership was born as a seed for throwing that vision around and to also spark a bigger debate that artists need to start also being part of pushing the tourism agenda by working with different spaces, and in doing so too, igniting that excitement that goes with, places like that are going to be key to advancing our vision on tourism.
And would that be the first time you'll be performing in that part of Ghana?
Oh, I've performed, since I started, I've had concerts there in the early days of my career, but I haven't been back there in a very long time. And I just came from a tour. I was one of the headliners for Carifesta in Barbados.
Okay.
Stadium in Barbados, a big festival that was in Barbados. I just played out in Laguna Beach, huge festival in Laguna Beach. So I've been out touring, but coming back home, which I just did a few days ago, I felt that there was a need for me not only getting close to the ocean to spiritually connect with the ancestry, but also supporting an initiative that I feel like is also going to be contributing to our entire tourism ecosystem. But the opportunity to also perform,
right?
Which I feel that Ghanaians need to experience what I've been sharing with the rest of the world.
Absolutely.
And preparing also towards the December season. I want to start them quickly. So everybody that is out there that hasn't seen me play, this is an opportunity to also see me in a very, shall I say, I wouldn't say intimate, but semi-intimate setting.
Yeah, I was coming to ask you whether it's just being on stage, or there will be more to the performance.
Well, my band is about, you're looking at like 11-piece band.
Absolutely.
This is. I'm not diminishing the fireworks because of the objective. This is concerts that I do at stadiums that I'm bringing into the resort environment, because I also want people to experience the full power of the music within a space too that is, it was the old hotel that used to exist that has been renovated.
Right.
So it has been part of our history. So the concert too happening around Kwame Nkrumah's in the celebration of Osagyefo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah weekend, birthday and all of that, so because Osagyefo too came from that side, when you go further. So for me to bring that energy of reconnection of people of African descent, our brothers and sisters who are coming home here, our local people, and then at the same time to honor doing it at a, I'll call a very sacred weekend of our national vision. I think it's a concert that nobody should miss. People should come there and be part of the experience.
Okay, Dr. Ashley, someone is asking me whether he's welcome to come and whether you have a special package for families, you know.
So yeah, I will talk about the packages, right? So for the package weekend or for the weekend, the package starts at 4,125 Ghana cedis. That gets you 2 nights, 2 breakfasts, 2 dinners, and a concert ticket, and that's for single occupancy. We also have concert tickets that are starting at 200 Ghana cedis.
Just for the concert? Just for that is if you are not, in residence.
Exactly, exactly.
But he says he's got a family, he wants to carry the entire family along with him to the place, and asking whether there are special, you know, arrangement for such category.
I want to talk about our rooms.
Right, please go on.
So we renovated the hotel completely.
So everything is new now.
Everything is new. Everything is new. Everything is curated. All of the design features, all of the furniture pieces, everything is locally made here in Ghana, and that's really important to us. So we have a junior suite. That's our biggest room. We also have an executive room, upstairs room, very large balcony. And we have our deluxe room, which is downstairs. But what was really important to the owners and to the builders of the hotel is that we wanted to make sure that we can invite Ghanaian families.
Right.
So we have family suites where we have adjoining rooms where the parents can be on one side and then you can have the kids on the other.
So I guess my friend's question has been answered.
Yes, your friend's question has definitely been answered. We are welcoming all guests, all families, all friends.
It's the advanced celebration.
Of course.
Before the
I mean,
Christmas
a big
season.
weekend.
This one,
right.
It was Osagyefo in weekend, so we have to, I feel that the opportunity to also celebrate what Ghana represents is key, you know, because if we look critically, we just went through a period of political transition. Our democracy has been reinvigorated. We have an opportunity to right now to, that there's so much, the stability in this country to, you know, in the midst of all that's going on around the world, is something that we should be appreciative for. So I feel we have a reason to celebrate, you know, and I feel that celebration is also part of recognizing, you know, the things that need to be done within the country to bring us closer, to also advance our objectives. And I feel that on this weekend, coming to experience a world-class show,
right,
in the midst of you know, families packaging and all of you know, family packages and all of that, and then also celebrating Osagyefo Kwame. You know, I haven't played Ghana in a long
time, so it will be a perfect time to come see Rocky Dawuni play. I mean, my favorite, Jerusalem, and of course, Crusade.
Hey, you're making requests,
I need to, because I've been looking forward to this for a long time, and I'm coming.
You're coming.
Of course, basically because of that. So, Dr. Ashley, I mean, those who are watching and then listening, what will be your final words to them? Where can they get a ticket if they want to? In case they want to make reservation, how should they go about it?
Okay, great. So you can make your reservations at www.anomansabeachresort.com. You can also follow us at Anomansa Beach Resort on all of our social channels. And you can text our WhatsApp if you want to book. You can book via our website. And we invite everyone to come and enjoy this real Pan-African weekend. We like to say at Anomansa, every stay tells a story. So we invite you to come and to start to chart that path to tell your own story.
Rocky, your final words.
Well, for me, you know, the things that everybody knows what my music represents. My music represents empowerment of our people. My music represents celebration of our people. My music is authentically trying to elevate who the Ghanaian is, who the African is. And this is a time for us to show that pride. I also feel that it's also at a time to when certain types of music that really is reflecting who Africans are don't really reflect what our core morals are.
Right.
what our core identity is, what music is defined in Africa these days, what music is defined in Ghana these days. You know, so I want to dial it back to what is who we are in a way that is a music of celebration, but is steeped in songs that, you know, pay homage to, from our high life music to Afro music to reggae music, and that span of that dimension, but still with a culturally conscious environment to ignite the mindset that I know that we as a nation need to do, especially in the times in which we are. So it's celebrating ourselves, having fun, honoring Osadifo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, and also honoring an institution too that is going to be a cornerstone of tourism and our people, you know, from the central region all the way down there. So if you are in Accra doing your thing, I won't know why you go to Accra.
Okay,
yes.
So you might want to make that reservation now because it's important, because it's going to be an unforgettable weekend at Anomansa Resort. And thank you so much for coming through, Dr. Ashley, and of course my favorite, Rocky Dawuni. Hopefully we'll see you this weekend.
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you for having us.
Okay. So before we go, the chairman of the Constitutional Review Committee, Professor H.P. Pep, has cited the excessive monetization of election as a reason for the growing decline in Ghana's trust in democratic governance. The latest 2024 Afrobarometer report has revealed a sharp 29 percentage point decline in citizen satisfaction with the country's democracy since 2017. Now, speaking at the launch of the Open Society Foundation and International Development Economics Associate's report on democratic governance and economic justice at the University of Ghana, Professor Kwesi Pembe first bemoaned the continued monetization of our electoral process, revealing the presidential election now cost over $200 million United States dollars to win.
Read the report that is being launched today. You would find some very staggering statistics, right? And it's not just a Ghana problem. Not only in Ghana are we running elections where candidates are putting up millions of dollars, tens of millions. At the presidential level, over $100 million is what it takes. Actually, that is like 2,000 number. Currently, it's probably double or triple. We don't even know. That's the problem, right? You need about $200 million probably to win a presidential contest. How many of you here are ever going to be in that category, in that cohort of candidates, right? Even the parliamentary level, including at the primary level, is just impossible, right? You cannot have that kind of a democracy and expect it to be developmental. So we need to worry about things like campaign finance, regulation of internal party democracy. If the parties are the building blocks of our democracy, because we call it multi-party democracy, then what happens in that party? What happens in those parties? What those parties stand for? How they behave? How they choose their leadership? But if you have rules like you have to nurture the constituency, what does that mean? You understand what it means. Before you are chosen by the party oligarchs at the constituency level, you must prove that you have nurtured the constituency. It's one of the rules in some of the parties. What does that mean? You must have fed them while you were out of power or in power with a lot of money. Where are you going to get that from?
All right, so you're welcome back now. Let's talk about fire, because last week the Ghana National Fire Service was very busy. I mean, because they had to go overdrive. Now, the service and the Ghana Immigration Service, they've launched a manhunt for a Chinese national on the run, suspected of starting a fire that destroyed a warehouse at Electoral in Accra. And so, yeah, so what you are seeing is, footage from last week's fire disaster that destroyed an entire warehouse at Latabiokoshi. And it took days for the Ghana National Fire Service to finally bring it under control. The warehouse, which had been converted into a makeshift factory for the production of rubber slippers and shoes, was completely gutted by the blaze, leaving behind charred debris and heavy losses for operators. An adjacent residential house was also reduced to ashes in the blaze, which sent plumes of thick black smoke bellowing over the area. And the chief officer, Daniela Mausi in Tosapom, says investigations point to a suspect as the one who negligently started the fire. Over the weekend, to another fire destroyed part of the Accra timber market. A suspect arrested for starting the fire, we understand, we put before court. Now, let's understand what went on. And in the studio is the Greater Accra Regional Fire Officer, ACFO to Rashid Kwame Nasiu. You're welcome, sir.
Thank you.
And it's good to see you.
Yes, good to see you too.
Right, so let's start from the Latibio Koshi incident.
Okay.
And now everything is done and dusted. You've handed over the place to the owners or to the assembly?
Yeah, so what actually happened was that, let me take this opportunity to extend my greetings to the Chief Officer, Daniela Mausi in Tosapon, for giving us the opportunity to continue to serve.
Right.
Now, what happened was that at 15 hours, that was on the 9th of September, we had a distress call reporting an outbreak of fire at Latibia Kwashi. So as soon as the first pump left, they got there around 24 hours. It took them about approximately 4 minutes or more to get there. As soon as they got there, they realized that the fire was at a developed stage. So one fire engine couldn't contain the situation, so they requested for further assistance, and we marshaled about 6 fire engines and then some private tankers to come and assist us in the fighting of the fire. Now, it took us throughout that night, before the fire, from 4 o'clock through the night to the following day, which was a Wednesday, to the evening. We ended the fire on Thursday.
Thursday,
yes.
Almost 3 days.
Yes, we were there. What we normally do is those people, we run shift. So the outgoing will be there, the incoming will come there, change them, and then they go. So that was what was going on. So we stayed there for 3 days.
For 3 days. And whilst the fire was ongoing, I heard media reports about some people that died in the process. Did you come across anything like that?
No, I can't confirm that.
Nobody died?
Nobody died in that fire. Nobody died. What actually happened was 2 people got injured at the fire ground there. 1 fire officer and then 1 civilian. They were at a height and fell. So, and quickly, the ambulance service were also there. They took care of the injured people, then later transferred them to the Kolebu Teaching Hospital.
So nobody was consumed in the fire?
Nobody was consumed.
And this Chinese that you've labeled as a suspect, how did you come to that conclusion that it was his cigarette that started the fire?
No, normally what we do is that when there is an outbreak of fire, because of gathering of information, we disguise firemen and women, put them among the people to come out with information, and that was our preliminary findings. That the gentleman, the expatriate, smoked, had a piece of cigar, finished and put it in the dustbin. That is where the fire started.
That's where the fire started. And this person, where is he?
At the moment, we can't trace them. I was told that they had bolted and gone into hiding.
He's run away because he understands that he may have caused the fire.
The thing is that where they were using as a warehouse, it's not a warehouse.
Okay.
It's somebody's home facility.
They've converted into a warehouse.
Converted to a warehouse. Normally, when you want to have a warehouse and you come, the drawings will give you specification about the thickness of the walls, fire-resistant walls, fire-resistant materials that you should use. You talk about the suppression systems that you should put in place, the detection systems that you should put in place. So all these things are things that when you come and say that I want to construct a warehouse, we'll give you specifications and give you what to do. Go ahead, inspect it. When we are satisfied with what you have done, at least if you have about 80% of what we have recommended, we'll give you a permit and go ahead and give you a certificate. So because they knew these things, they never went through all these processes. They just voted.
But the assembly exists. The assembly cannot say that they didn't know that such a facility existed and was in the process of producing, goods. Because I'm sure they took their money almost every year.
Maybe since it is the assembly matter now,
you cannot go into it. So as we speak, we don't even know where this suspect is hiding. And you said that you are working with the immigration office.
So yes, the chief officer is in touch with the Director General of the Ghana Immigration Service.
Right.
Has made other officers to call me. We've had series of meeting. We had meeting on that issue. I wouldn't like to disclose everything because they are in charge of this expatriate to look for who has the permit to stay in this country, and they will also be looking at whether whatever they are doing has fire permits, whether they've been given the permission to do what they are here. Somebody has whispered into our ears that they have about 40 of such facilities around Latibia-Koshi.
Around just Latibia-Koshi?
Yes, I'm told 40. Some are even factories producing.
And I'm guessing that this person worked with this factory that went down in the fire.
Sure.
And then on Saturday, the timber market too, same negligence.
Yeah, so on Saturday too, it dawned around 01:17 hours. Same distress calls were placed to the Fire Master Control, reporting an outbreak of fire at timber market. So by 01:21 hours, the first appliance was already there. We got there, realized that one too was at a matured state. So quickly, we had to call for assistance. That one, we had to marshal about 8 fire engines and 3 private tankers. So I called the regional minister, and then she quickly linked me up with the MCE, and then they released the assembly tankers, about 3, to come and augment the water for firefighting. And so that one too took us throughout the day. By around noon, getting to 1 o'clock there, we had finally brought the fire under control.
And again, the chief fire officer also points to a gentleman who was also, smoking, left, what he was smoking, and then also started the fire.
That one, the information that our intelligence gathered was that this gentleman, after close of work, gathered refuse and decided to burn the refuse. So he set fire to the refuse and then went to sleep. Then in the process, the refuse burnt, then extended to the nearby shop. And then, those areas are all wooden structures. So that is how that, and so that one, because of that, the police went on a manhunt and they were able to apprehend him and sent him to the Jamestown police station.
But you don't know, we don't know whether he's been taken to court. Do you have that information?
I can't confirm that.
You can't confirm that. So officer, in all of these fires that you've witnessed recently, is there a particular theme that runs through all of them?
Yeah, there's something that runs through. These are human errors, you see, and some of these fires, they start very small. Just like I said, you can see that the people who actually lack appreciation on issues bordering on fire safety, that is what has caused what has happened. And I kept saying that you are into business and your worst enemy is what is going to reduce you from the top to zero.
Right.
So they should have seen fire service as partners in development, bring us together to be able to teach them, show them what to do to protect their investments. So I think that the way forward is for them to come, be in touch with us so that we'll tell them what to do to forestall these things, because some of these things are avoidable. To gather refuse, set fire to it, and then this extends to raise down people's investments. It's not a good thing.
And then there was also the issue of access to some of the fire sites.
Yes, that one was a very big problem, especially the second fire. When the first...
And this is the timber market one.
Timber market one. When the first appliance got to the place, some driver with impunity had packed a truck loaded, full articulated truck loaded with timber wood to come and discharge, and he was nowhere to be found, went to sleep, and the tender had nowhere to pass. So they had to go negotiate somewhere before finally we had access to go and fight fire. So access was also a problem. And even that one self, we had to connect about the minimum hoses we could connect from a fire appliance to the scene was 5.
5.
Yes. So what it meant was that it meant that much water that was meant for firefighting was trapped in the hoses.
And so it made the work difficult?
Made the work very, very difficult. And there were no hydrants around. I sent men to scout for, see if we could identify 1 or 2 places that we knew we had hydrants, and all those places there were no hydrants. Either the people had constructed
structures on it, so difficult to identify
where they are. So that also gave us a lot of problems.
So as we go forward, I mean, for example, over the weekend, last week, not over the weekend, last week Friday, the Medina Red Cove flat,
yes,
fire that we spoke about here on this show.
Time back,
and you made some recommendation that it was important that the place is left,
yes,
for whatever needed to be done before reconstruction can start. Now the assembly moved him to demolish the place, saying that they will not allow any more construction.
Sure.
Because now they've classified the place as a security zone. Sure. Is this something that you welcome?
No, I think I already said this before. The way forward is for us to pull a brick and then get a very beautiful plan for the place. Fire service will come in, will give our fire engineering drawing, the fire plan, and the way forward, maybe provision for hydrants, provisions for hydrants, provision for suppression systems, detection systems. Agrees will be created to allow, in case of any emergency, how tenders could pass through. So I think what the Assembly is doing is in the right direction, and we must commend them for that.
All right, before you go, your final words?
No, my final words is just like I am saying Red Cove people have done. I think a similar thing should also be done
at the timber market.
Timber market. They should pull bricks. Hold on, let us look at a beautiful plan for the place. We have fire engineering drawings for the place where hydrants will be sited. We'll put smoke detect, everything, get agrees, and then the place will be beautiful, nice for them to occupy. So that even if anything happens and there's a fire outbreak at all, at least the disaster will not be like we are witnessing today.
But I'm curious to know, I mean, so now that you have established that this factory that got destroyed by fire, they don't have fire certificates and all those things. Are you now, investigating other such facilities in the enclave to establish whether they have, and if they don't, what would be your recommendation?
Yeah, so that is the whole thing about the collaboration with the Ghana Immigration Service. That is the whole thing about the collaboration with Ghana Immigration Service, so that when we go there and we realize that you are turning somebody's home to a factory and you don't have, because there's no way you are turning a house to a factory and you have requisite permit to do such.
Absolutely.
Nobody is going to approve of you turning your bedroom or a hall
into a factory.
That is not accepted anywhere. So then that is the reason why we are zooming on them. And then we make sure that the right things are done.
But in this regard, you also need the assembly.
Yeah, we are not going to do this alone. We are not going to the MCE for the area. I'm in touch with him. We are going to do this together. Because even the topography, they know the topography better. And so we can rely on them to help us with the topography, with maybe information on where, even this afternoon, since yesterday and the day before yesterday, I've been receiving information on where some of these people are. And even people now in the area are now seeing that they are living with a risk.
Right.
So most are now volunteering information on where these things are.
All right. Regional Fire Commander, thank you so much for coming through.
Thank you, my brother.
I appreciate your presence very much. And of course, and that's the Greater Accra Regional Fire Officer. Folks, we'll leave it here for now. Tomorrow we will be heavy in the Ashanti Regional Capital, Kumasi, where Asante Man is paying their farewell to the Asante Hima, the late Asante Man who passed on. And the burial service, or better still, the body is now in state. Sorry, it started yesterday, and it will end on Thursday, where they will have the final traditional burial at the Royal Mausoleum at Bremen in the Ashanti region. We'll bring you more in tomorrow's edition of the show. But that's our show. For more, so log on to our website, myjoyonline.com. Whatever you are up to in the hours ahead, I hope it's profitable. My name is Elton Roby. Have a good evening and take care.